The moment I opened the door to Salvatore's restaurant, 14 faces turned toward me in unison. On the table, finished plates, wine glasses nearly empty. "Marin, you finally made it," my mother said. Her voice was gentle, yet cold. I checked my watch. 7:05. The invitation clearly said starts at 6:30. Why didn't anyone tell me the time had changed? That question would soon turn into certainty. I didn't know yet that this night would mark the beginning of my escape from my family's control. If your family treated you unfairly simply because you're family, what would you do? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I'm Marin Beckett, a logistics manager in my mid-30s. I arrive earlier than anyone else and leave later than everyone. People say I have a strong sense of responsibility, but the reality was, I lived as my family's insurance policy. That evening, I arrived late to my parents' 32nd wedding anniversary dinner. When I opened the door to Salvatore's restaurant, 14 faces turned toward me at once. The plates had been cleared. The glasses were half empty. The celebration was already over. "Marin, you finally made it." On my mother's finger was a diamond bracelet, apparently tonight's gift. I glanced at my watch. 7:05. Wasn't it supposed to be 6:30? We changed it to 5. My mother said casually, swirling her wine. I figured you'd be late anyway. My sister Bryn laughed. Want to eat some cold meatballs, sis? 14 pairs of eyes pierced me, as if waiting for their sponsor to arrive. Even today, I'd handled an emergency at work and rushed over just in time. I wasn't late out of negligence. It was because of my sense of responsibility. So why was I the villain here? At work, numbers tell the whole story. When you work hard, you see results. But at home, no matter how much I gave, I was only told it was expected. That difference was slowly eroding my heart. That day, a major shipping problem had occurred at work. A missed delivery was reported. All the responsibility fell on me. While my colleagues went home, I stayed at my terminal until the end, resolved it, then jumped in my car. Still, I was late, yet not a single person acknowledged that effort. My mother pulled a paper from her bag. "But it's good you came. Here, take care of this." The receipt she handed me read $1,720.43. In that moment, something quietly snapped inside me. I tore the receipt into 8 pieces and dropped them on the table. No one laughed. That night, I resisted with silence for the first time. On the ride home, my reflection in the taxi window was no longer the old me. The mask of the kind eldest daughter had peeled away. A stranger stared back at me, back in my apartment. I kicked off my heels and slumped against the wall. The certificate on the wall swayed slightly. Logistics Manager Marin Beckett. That title now felt hollow. Supporting my family. Supporting my workplace. Everything was for someone else. In that structure, there was no place for me. The scene from the restaurant replayed in my mind. Laughter. Silence. The receipt. All of it symbolized my 30 years of being assigned a role. I opened the desk drawer. My hand hesitated for a moment. I felt that once I opened it, there would be no turning back. I knew this was the last moment of believing in my family as a daughter. There was a folder labeled Family Support. My father's mortgage. My sister's rent. My mother's dental treatment. Birthday gifts. When my father was unemployed, I covered 3 months of his mortgage payments. When my sister said she was preparing for independence, I paid her rent and security deposit. My mother's dental treatment was on my credit card. The receipt still gleamed in the corner of the folder. The neatly arranged receipts were a record of obligation, not love. I picked up my calculator. My fingers stopped around $47,000. A cold sweat ran down my spine. I thought I was helping, but I'd become a convenient wallet without realizing it. I opened my laptop and canceled all automatic bank transfers. The clicking sound echoed like chains being broken. In the silence, only my computer's fan hummed, but that small electronic sound felt like a signal of freedom to me. Something that had been tangled deep in my chest for years was finally coming undone. I created a new file. The title, Financial Independence Plan. 3 items. savings goals, living expense optimization, and the courage to maintain boundaries. The display's light quietly illuminated my face. These were no longer numbers for someone else. This was the first record of reclaiming my life. 2 weeks had passed since I blocked my mother's and sister's numbers. My home was completely quiet. No phone calls, no messages. At night, the refrigerator motor sounded unusually loud. I couldn't tell if I felt lonely or at peace. During that time, I continued working methodically. I filled in the financial independence plan spreadsheet, stopped all automatic bank transfers, and created a new budget management table. Surprisingly, my life wasn't difficult at all, but there was a hollow feeling deep in my chest. Not a single person from the family I'd supported so much asked why, or even, "Are you okay?" Turns out, the world kept turning without me. One morning, my phone vibrated. I gasped when I saw the name on the screen. Ava, a friend from high school I hadn't contacted in 15 years. "Your mom was worried about you. Everyone misunderstands you." The voicemail was filled with thinly constructed kindness. My spine froze. My mother was using someone again. I silently opened my call history and added Ava's number to my block list. My family's voice could reach me through other mouths. That afternoon, an envelope arrived in my mailbox. It was from the bank. My hand trembled slightly as I opened it. The sound of the paper rustling felt strangely loud. That moment of opening felt as heavy as reading a verdict. It felt like reality was crashing down in front of me with a sound. Credit score decline. The reason: unpaid high balance. I felt as if my heart had been grabbed. All my card withdrawals should have been automatically managed. If there was another cause. I had a bad feeling. I opened my laptop and checked my account and credit history. Just then, a call came from the bank. "Miss Beckett? This is Chase Bank's Fraud Prevention Department." A calm woman's voice continued. "A new card was issued in your name 6 months ago. Can you confirm this?" I froze. I didn't apply for any card. The cursor on my screen stopped. I heard the sound of papers being shuffled on the other end. The application was on the 20th. The delivery address is, let me see, the Beckett residence. "That's your parents' home, correct?" Thunder crashed in my head. My next words came out almost as a whisper. "Whose email address is it?" "bj.beckett94. Ren." My sister's full name pierced my ears as an emotionless voice. The world suddenly felt small. I grabbed the back of my chair and took a deep breath. This is family fraud. The moment I said it out loud, tears ran down my cheeks. It wasn't anger or sadness. It was the sound of the concept of family I'd believed in for so long crumbling. I immediately hung up and dialed another number. Theo, a college friend who's now a corporate attorney. "What's wrong?" Bryn created a credit card in my name. After a silence, I heard a short exhale. "Do you have documents?" "The bank is confirming. The charges total $18,900. I'm coming right away. Keep all the evidence." 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Theo stood there in a suit with an old coat over it, carrying a paper bag. "Brought you something. Also, documents for verification." He walked into my apartment without hesitation, looked at my laptop, and said, "Email history, delivery address, application date. Let's copy everything. Family fraud gets swept under the rug if you let emotions take over. We need thorough evidence." His calm voice gave me a small sense of relief. We worked late into the night. The billing statement showed spa treatments, travel expenses, and designer bag purchases. All delivery addresses were to my parents' house. The card was issued 2 days after that dinner. My name had been used to fill the hole in the family finances. Theo paused. "This is malicious. Not lending your name. This is clear fraud. Should I sue?" "Don't hesitate. This is a crime, not a family relationship issue." I wrote in my notebook. Lawsuit preparation. Repayment demand. Police report. The pen tip trembled, but there was a strange calmness deep in my heart. Rather than fear, it was a conviction of what was right. Finally, I had become the manager of my own life again. The next morning, light streamed through a gap in the curtains. A message from Theo had arrived. "When you're ready, I'll accompany you." Install a recording app. I nodded and took a deep breath as I installed the app on my phone. Next, it was time for a direct confrontation. At noon, I drove my car. I entered my parents' address into the GPS. Even though it was a familiar route, it felt like driving through a foreign country. In the passenger seat, Theo quietly organized his documents. If you show emotion, you lose. Just state the facts. His voice was low and steady. I nodded. My palms were sweating. I could see the house. Red brick exterior, well-maintained garden. A memory flashed of playing catch with my father on the lawn on a summer day when I was young. But those smiles from back then are now an illusion. I took a deep breath and got out of the car. The front door opened. My mother appeared, wearing a smile as if welcoming a guest. "Oh my, Marin. It's been a while." "Who's this?" "My attorney. We need to talk." Her smile stiffened. My father emerged from the back, wiping his hands with a kitchen towel. "Talk about what?" "Something you should remember well." I quietly took out my folder and placed it on the table. "You created a card in my name and spent $19,900. My mother's cheeks turned bright red, and Bryn sat up from the sofa. "What are you talking about?" "That's some kind of mistake." "If it's a mistake, that's fine. But the application email was from your address." Bryn's lips trembled slightly. Theo spoke up. "This is clear credit fraud. If the victim files charges, it will be treated as a criminal case." My father slammed the table. "Marin, are you going to sue your own family?" "My family defrauded me." Those words sounded colder than I thought my voice could be. My mother broke down crying. "You're such a cold child. Family is supposed to help each other, isn't it?" I answered quietly. "Helping each other and exploitation are different. This is theft." Silence. It felt like a long time had passed. Then my father's voice rumbled low. "You have plenty. You could spare a little to help us." At that moment, Theo stopped the recording and saved the file. "That statement is sufficient." I stood up. "I'm demanding repayment. Within 45 days. If you don't pay, I'll take legal action." Anger and fear mixed on my father's face. My mother sobbed, and Bryn clutched her phone, at a loss for words. The moment I stepped outside, the spring breeze brushed my cheek. As I got in the car, Theo said quietly, "You did well." I smiled. This wasn't the end. But finally, it had begun. 45 days. The deadline on the repayment demand letter Theo created ticked away methodically. During the first week, my mother called more than 10 times a day, crying, yelling, pleading. "Are you going to put your own mother in jail? Are you going to sue your own flesh and blood?" Each time I played back the voicemails, something cold inside my chest hardened. From my father came only one email. The subject line, "You'll regret this later." The body was blank. That silence felt heavier than any threat. Bryn started posting on social media. My sister's betrayal, obsessed with money. The cold-blooded woman who abandoned her family. In the comment section, acquaintances' speculation and rumors swirled, but I never responded even once. The truth would be told in court. I kept only that in my heart. Theo regularly sent progress updates via email. "No need to rush. It'll definitely try to shake you. But facts can't be changed." I nodded as I updated the financial independence plan spreadsheet on my laptop every night. Expenses, savings, target amounts. Each click seemed to organize my heart. However, my family's persistence exceeded my imagination. One morning when I arrived at work, the office atmosphere felt oddly unsettled. Colleagues exchanged glances while looking at me. "Marin, your mother is at reception." My breath stopped. Some of the coffee from the mug I was holding spilled. I'd been with Marshall Logistics for 3 years. I started as an assistant, but after straightening out the team's chaos, I was now entrusted with managing a small team. The responsibility had increased, but I'd come to feel this was my place. Every morning, caught in the whirlwind of cargo, data, and human relationships, this was the only place where I could prove my existence through numbers and results. That's exactly why I never wanted my mother to step into this space. My mother wore a red blouse, the same outfit as that night. It was as if she'd brought the past with her. I felt eyes on me. Countless gazes stabbed into my back. Is that her mother? The quiet whispers from colleagues washed over me like waves. Quiet anger outweighed shame. Marin, please. Just 5 minutes. The voice wet with tears was the perfectly calculated voice of a mother. I silently pointed to the conference room and walked while avoiding the surrounding stares. When the door closed, my mother's expression changed. The tears disappeared. A cold light settled in her eyes. Everyone knows what you're trying to do now. Your aunts, the neighbors. You're humiliating yourself. I quietly took out my notebook, and it was advice Theo had written. Don't take the bait. Keep records. I slid my pen across the page and answered. Is that all? I'm at work now. My voice trembled slightly, but it wasn't from fear. It was proof that my will, suppressed for so many years, was finally coming out. With those words, I felt an invisible line had been drawn between my mother and me. I was the only one who could cross that line now. My mother lowered her voice. What are you going to do about Grandpa's inheritance? If you file charges, we'll lose everything. Why are you going this far to destroy the family? For a moment, my chest ached. My mother's voice did have an echo of something like lingering affection, but it was also a tool to control me. Who destroyed it? Those words quietly filled the room. My mother flinched for a moment and looked away. Your father has no choice but to dip into his retirement fund. Because of you, his retirement is a mess. Who used my name? Friend did it. But we're family. We have to help each other. My mother's cry sounded more like an incantation than an excuse. I took an envelope from my bag and placed it on the desk. These are the documents to be submitted to the police. I'm filing them in 3 days. My mother's face turned pale. You're serious. I'm serious. No one's taking from me anymore. The moment I opened the conference room door, my colleague's eyes gathered. My mother straightened her back and left. The farther her back receded, the deeper I breathed in. I stood still until my mother's car disappeared from sight. The wind tousled my hair. Anger and sorrow battled deep in my chest. I'd resolved to report to the police, but perhaps part of me wanted someone to stop me. If I gave in now, I'd go back to how things were. A few hours later, my supervisor called me in. Handle family troubles outside, he said quietly. Even though it wasn't shameful, I felt as if shame had been placed on my shoulders. That night, I sent Theo a report email. My mother came to my workplace. 3 days until police filing. My heart is wavering. As I stared at the folder on my desk, I thought, if I submit this to the police, we'll no longer be family. But what broke that night was already the bond itself. The reply came a few minutes later. It's natural to waver, but you're no longer a victim. You're someone who takes action. As I reread those words, my phone vibrated. It was from Bryn. Sis, please. Dad's about to collapse. Drop the charges. Let's stop this. Crying emojis lined the message. Around the same time, she was playing the worried sister on social media. I want to forgive my sister, but she's so cold. That post was lined with sympathetic comments from strangers. I closed the screen. Words of empathy can sometimes be the most violent thing. I stared at the screen for a while, my hands still. Childhood memories surfaced in my mind. Me trying to protect my sister's crying face. I was always the one who got scolded. Because you're the eldest, you have to be patient. I'd lived believing those words. But now it was different. I placed my phone on the table and whispered quietly. I won't be bound by the words for family anymore. The city at night blurred outside the window. I opened my laptop again and updated the financial independence plan spreadsheet, budget repayment plan, and the definition of freedom. In the corner of the screen, a sticky note caught my eye. Peace of mind is worth the cost. Those were words Theo had written. On the third night, I couldn't sleep with the report envelope sitting on my desk. If I submitted it, everything would be left to the law. As I stared at the documents in the envelope, I thought, will this single piece of paper end 30 years of being a daughter? Still, if I didn't cross this line, I would remain their possession forever. But I didn't wish for their ruin. I just wanted to reclaim my own life. 3 days later, I stood in front of the local police station, holding the envelope. The spring breeze brushed my cheek. New buds on the street trees swayed. Fear and relief battled deep in my chest. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a final message from my father. "We'll pay. Let's end this." That afternoon, a notification arrived. Bank transfer. Richard Beckett, $18,900. In the message field was a short sentence. "This should settle things." 5 minutes later, another message arrived. "Don't ever contact us again." I closed the screen and smiled quietly. For a farewell message, it was surprisingly honest. I stared at the screen for a while, then exhaled deeply. It wasn't victory or revenge, just the sensation of finally settling the accounts of my own life. That night, I sent Theo a report email. Payment confirmed. Lawsuit unnecessary. Documents archived. The reply that came back was just one line. "Well done, Marin. Now let's write the next chapter." I closed my laptop and looked around the quiet room. There was freedom where no one's voice could reach. These hands that had worked for others for so many years were finally grasping their own tomorrow for the first time. And deep in my heart, I whispered softly, "This is my true separation from my family." The early summer breeze passed through the window and filled the room. The financial independence plan spreadsheet had a new column added. The title, Future Investment. The amount was still small, but it was money spent for myself for the first time. 3 months had passed since contact with my family ceased. During the first few weeks, deep in my chest felt like a hollow cavity. Guilt, relief, loneliness, silence. Every emotion visited in turn. But at night, what I heard was no longer someone shouting, but only the small sound of the air conditioner and my own breathing. That silence finally taught me the meaning of the word peace. Theo and I exchanged updates via email once a week. Work going well? More or less. Human relationships are much more complex, though. That's life. Numbers don't betray you, but people are always unpredictable. That exchange supported me like a small light. One Sunday morning at a cafe, as I spread out my notebook, a woman at the next table spoke to me. "You have an interesting way of using that spreadsheet. A personal life plan?" "Yes, I call it my financial independence plan." She laughed. "That's a good name. Actually, I'm a single mother who does household budgeting consultation. If you're interested, would you teach that spreadsheet method to others?" I was a little surprised. Teaching someone. I'd never had that idea. But the moment I received that proposal, something moved inside me. After losing my family, I felt for the first time that I wanted to share something with someone. A few weeks later, I started a small online course with her. The theme, Money Basics to Protect Yourself. There were fewer than 10 students, but my chest warmed at the words in the chat like, I was saved. And I gained courage, because I knew someone's pain. There was something I could convey. The humiliation of that night was gradually transforming into someone's hope. When the course started gaining traction, an email arrived from Theo. The subject, Next chapter. Your story isn't over. If forgiveness arises in your heart, that's also part of freedom. Though brief, those words struck deep. That night, Theo called. You're finally able to smile. Little by little, just hearing his voice, the hard part deep in my chest seemed to loosen. That night, I thought about my family for the first time in a while. How was Bryn doing? Was my mother still gossiping with the neighbors? My father. Suddenly, I opened my phone's contact list. The list of blocked names now looked like relics of the past. I didn't want to contact them. I just wanted to let go of the weight of hatred. Forgiveness is different from reconciliation. It's a choice not to let past events define your life. I finally understood that. The next morning, I stopped by the flower shop in front of the station. In the corner of the shelf, yellow carnations were lined up. The flower language, gratitude. I bought just one and placed it in a small glass vase. Not for my mother, but for myself back then. To never forget the courage I had to stand up that night. The morning to-do list had 3 items. Open the window, boil water, advance the savings table by 1 line. With just those 3 lines, my heart became quieter than yesterday. That afternoon, while organizing recorded course videos, an email notification appeared on my screen. The moment I saw the sender's name, I gasped. Bryn Beckett. Subject: apology. When I open my inbox for the first time in a while, the first thing I check is my block list. The names listed there are a silent wall that can no longer hurt me. I took a breath and slid my finger to the one unread message. Sender: Bryn Beckett. My heart beat fast. After a few seconds of hesitation, I opened it. Sis, I'm truly sorry. I didn't think about anything back then. Even if I repay the money, I can't restore what was broken. But I finally understand now what you were trying to protect yourself from. P.S. That Scottsdale trip. I used the card. I'm continuing to pay it back. At the end of the message was a small sentence. Are you still doing your new work? I wish you happiness. The screen blurred. After reading the email, I couldn't move my hands for a while. Each character seemed to blur, as if comforting my past self. Outside the window, the sunset was slowly sinking. That color somehow looked the same as the color of tears. I hadn't found words of reconciliation yet, but a strange calmness spread through my chest. Forgiving yourself before forgiving someone else. That's what true restoration is, I thought. That night, working at a cafe by the window, I saw a young woman on the phone across the street. Yeah, it's okay. I've already sorted things out with my family. In her smile, I felt I saw a shadow of my former self. I closed my laptop and breathed in the night air outside. The world keeps turning quietly. Someone's betrayal, someone's love, all eventually become threads that guide you. And I opened the screen once more. I created a new tab and entered a title. Reconstruction Plan. The financial independence plan was a ledger to protect. The next chapter would be a blueprint to reclaim. The reconstruction plan. In that moment, something lightly burst inside my heart. Even losing my family, I didn't break. Rather, that's where I began. I closed my laptop. The city at night swayed beyond the glass. No more cowering from someone's voice. No more waiting for someone's approval. Silence had finally become an ally. That night, for the first time, I looked forward to tomorrow. The wind turned pages like the morning arrives. I was ready to welcome a new day. Spring passed, and the feeling of summer filled the city. At the window seat of the cafe, I had my laptop open. On the screen was the reconstruction plan spreadsheet. Next to it, a new sheet name, Community Plan. It was a blueprint for using the numbers I'd protected with a financial independence plan toward people's futures. The online course was entering its third term. Over 100 students had enrolled. Messages arrived from all over the country. Even if family takes your money, you can restart your life. I'm also making a fresh start. Each line felt like a letter to my former self. On the first day of class, I heard a trembling voice from beyond the screen. Mirren, I'm considering divorce, but I'm afraid, and I can't take the first step. I took a deep breath and carefully wove my words. Being afraid is natural, but it's not a reason to stand still. Your peace is worth paying for. Don't forget that. After the lecture, the message she sent had just one word. Thank you. Those 5 letters shone brighter than the stars in the night sky. I still haven't written a reply to Bryn's apology email, but I couldn't bring myself to delete that email either. I'd learned that accepting the scar was much freer than hiding it. Theo remained as calm as ever, occasionally giving advice. The course materials could be published. How about turning the financial independence plan into a practical guide? It's too early. You always say that, but there might be people waiting for that too early. Those words warmed deep in my chest. I think maybe I can rewrite the definition of the word family once more. Being connected by blood isn't the only bond. A relationship where you share pain and respect each other's freedom. That's my new form of family, I think. That weekend, one student posted on the course forum, "My family has been taking money from me, but after hearing your story, I gained the courage to live." I stared at that sentence for a while and slowly typed in the reply field. The past that was taken from you doesn't measure your future. The moment you transform it into learning, life becomes yours. The finger that pressed send was lighter than before. As if each time I let something go, my heart gradually reclaimed the sky. After that day's class, I happened to see Bryn's social media. There was a single photo of her smiling with children. The caption, "Day 1 of starting over." I closed the screen and prayed softly. May you walk on your own feet this time. Night, in the silent room, I found an old USB drive. Inside were just a few photos I'd taken with Bryn. The two of us laughing in the summer garden. Looking at that smile, there was no more pain. Rather, I felt proud of myself for having loved someone. Suddenly, the wind outside rustled the curtains. The full moon floated in the night sky. Light belongs to no one, not bound by the past. It illuminates each person's path. I quietly opened the window and took in that light. Tomorrow, I'm planning to hold a special session of the course. The theme, a restorative plan for the heart, redesign for regeneration. I'll display one sentence in the center of the screen. Your peace is worth that much. The words that once bound me, I can now hand to someone as a message of hope. I learned that's a stronger form of victory than revenge. The report I didn't submit that day is still in my desk drawer, not as evidence, but as proof that I drew a boundary line. I learned that justice isn't for punishing someone, but for protecting yourself. The course start time approaches. The login screen displays participants. 112. I turned on my microphone and smiled lightly. Good evening, everyone. Today, let's begin the time to reclaim yourselves. Countless small faces reflected on the monitor were illuminated by soft light. Each one carried anxiety and hope, just like I once did. But now, there was no more fear. I'd found the continuation of my story among them. It was light to illuminate someone's future, and it was proof of the life I'd chosen. When the course ended, silence returned to the room. The computer's light still illuminated the comments remaining on the screen. The words, "Thank you," quietly seeped into my heart. I leaned back in my chair and took a deep breath. I don't need anyone's approval anymore. That conviction was clearer than the night air. I created a new folder. The title, My Story, My Freedom. To write this story in my own words this time. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories of courage and transformation. What does freedom mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, your peace is worth fighting for.